1 as a client, 2 as a competitor, 3 as a niche. I'm kidding, but I'm not really. We don't restrict our clients' ability to grow. Let me repeat that. We don't restrict our clients' ability to grow.
Are you presenting a single custom scope price or present 3 price options for them to choose from?
Yeah, I always present 3 because here's the deal. You never ever take a picture of something, you put your hand next to it for context. You know how big it is because it's in relation to your hand. If you just give 1, there's no context. They don't know if that's expensive or that's low. And you need to present 3. There's all kinds of psychological studies on this, and present them with different value. And when you think about this, what's the max amount of value you can provide? That should be your top one. This also helps with retention when there's an ascension model. They start at tier 1, they know that they can go up to level 2 or level 3, right? You're always painting this better future state. So that's a long-winded way to answer that, but there you go.
No, that's fine. So when you say present more value, is that value based on outcomes like phone calls, leads, or is it based on inputs like content, links, hours?
Ooh, good question. If I had it down to a science, I would definitely do it based upon outcomes, signed cases. If you look at value, think about an airline, right? We're all flying economy. You have that business class, a little bit more legroom. We have first class. You can get on first, right? You get those better meals up front, right? But you're still just flying. Yeah. So there's a lot of ways to deliver value. A couple ways you can do it. You can do it by different services, right? Tier 1 could be local SEO. Tier 2 could be local and organic. Tier 3 could be local, organic, and LSA, right? Or you can mix and match those. You can do different deliverables. You can do different levels of experience. You can do access to the executives. You can do different time commitments. Maybe one's a month term, maybe one's a 12-month term. Maybe you include a website in one. There's so many options here available but you need to take an internal look. Like, how can I provide more value to the client? And that's the other thing about niching is when you truly understand them, you can create something specific to them that has more value.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. It's very well said. I think when you really immerse yourself. I've been through 2 salespeople this year, so I'm back doing sales and trying to hire another one. It's been really hard for me to find somebody, but it's been probably the best experience for our agency. We've been growing at a clip that we've never grown at before. And I really think it's because the amount of intel and learning that I've gotten about not just what they care about for marketing, but their business model and what they're really struggling with. Like, I've realized that most of these people aren't even using spreadsheets to track leads. Like, they're not doing anything. So like little things being like, what are you using for a CRM? If that's a kicker, we'll come in and set up a CRM for you. We'll train you on how to use it because it's really just a checklist for us. Now we've done it a million times. Emails, like little things like that are, again, if we're working with e-commerce and a B2B shop and SaaS and lawyers, like it's too much. Like we can never do it. But because we're only really working with one type of client, and really specifically, it's really PI for us, family law and some criminal defense, because all the other ones we find just their customer value just isn't high enough to really justify the type of retainers that we're asking for. And we're not that bad. We're at like 5,000 a month is really like our sweet spot with a lot of these firms, but they just won't make it up. They just have to sign so many clients. And most law firms are like, I don't have the ability to sign that many clients. Like I have an intake person and that's it. I just don't have it. So I didn't know this stuff before, but having these conversations and learning about how they're structured and the different pressure points in terms of if they have attorneys, it's a whole different level of anxiety because they have to provide them leads. They have to feed them. So we've really drilled into that with our marketing messaging, and all of our marketing messaging now to go up market is basically, hey, law firm owner, like leads are keeping you up at night because if you don't provide leads to your 5 stellar attorneys, they're walking down to the next shop and they're going to get them. So we've built this kind of whole avalanche now of anxiety and pressure point on top of that we never would have known about if we didn't go through this sales process. And again, like really drilling into that industry. We also do a lot of work in the home services space, and I've had a lot of the same learnings there. And everything becomes so much easier when I show up to a call and I'm like, yo, this isn't just about marketing. This is about running your business. And I'm an expert. We can help you with this stuff. Don't worry about it. We'll take it off your plate. And it doesn't create a lot of extra work for us, but it creates so much value for them. And especially too, because I'm sure you guys are on a different tier of clientele, but we're getting a lot of pushback because there's so many lead gen agencies out there. There have always been, but they're guaranteeing leads and they're guaranteeing results. And a lot of these firms are like,
can I touch on that?
Yeah, please.
So a lot of times people talk about podcasts for distribution or marketing to supplement their social media, but the biggest thing it is a feedback loop for education. You get to really understand your prospects, what pains they have and how to help them. And so it ends up being an incredible feedback loop for education. This right here, Ryan, where you got me on, we're shooting the bull. It's maybe there's a little nugget that someone listening here, it's, oh, okay, that can help.
For context, sorry to cut you off, Chris has a podcast called Personal Injury Marketing Mastermind, where he just interviews personal injury attorneys. just for context for everyone here. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. And the thing that you were talking about in terms, once you start to understand what a case is worth and what their typical client acquisition costs are, like for me, there's in the legal space, there's like Quintessa Marketing, there's Walker Advertising, and they're selling $2,000 case acquisition costs. $2,000, no marketing. You can just go buy a case for $2,000. Yeah. What does that mean for me? Now, obviously there's different levels and qualities of the cases, but I can't be doing the marketing. Like I got to provide more value. So it's, you may have to do performance pricing. You may have to change your model. If you're just guessing, you're out of luck. And that's where serving a ton of industries falls in line. It's hard to get that information that granular.
100%. Yeah, we come across that a lot too. And this is also where being good at sales and persuasion and connecting with people is also very helpful. I have this whole pitch about why it's so bad for them to do that, because I try and instill the fear of God with them when it comes to AI. I'm like, look, guys, AI is coming and AI doesn't give a shit about you or anything. Like it's going to wipe out 80% of your market. And if you don't have a brand, if you don't have market equity, if people don't know who you are, you're never going to make it. And you can't do that by just outsourcing the only chance for you to get equity in the market, which is marketing, which is creating value in the market. So if you want to outsource your lead generation, go for it. But you're going to come back here in 6 months and you're going to be in the exact same place. It might be a good way for you to grab some quick cash, but you can't build a business off like taking your liver out and just giving it away. Like you can't do it. So I like sales is also a big part of that too. And I found a lot of these people are very not easy to persuade, but they're susceptible to a pitch. And the reason why I know that is because some of these law firms, Chris, are locked into 36-month contracts with other agencies out there. And I'm like, you're a lawyer. Like, how did you sign? Like, you went through contract law and you signed this contract for 36 months. What were you thinking? They're like, yeah, I don't know. They gave me a good pitch. They're very persuasive. I'm like, okay, this is not going to work out between us here. Anyways, Skylar asked, he said, talk about your pass-through model, Chris.
Pass-through model. Skylar, elaborate. Do you mean like I'm passing through the profit margin?
Skylar, are you there? I can just unmute yourself. Just go ahead and fire away.
Yeah, you've already talked about it a little bit, Chris, when you were talking about link building, but whether it's like links, content, et cetera, I think it's an interesting thing. You could elaborate on a bit about how that's really helps with your margins when you get down to profitability. So
thanks, Skylar. A lot of times people will press time tracking for utilization. And when we're looking at profit margins, and I've always been a little anti that because I like to look at the outcome. Like I want someone that's more efficient and better trained that can publish content quicker. That's what I want. So I look at the outcome. I try to set KPIs there, but we set rules around certain delivery specifics. So account management, we want it around 10% or less. And that gets you, that keeps you out of trouble, right? 10% margin is in your account management, your client service. So for example, let's say your on-target earnings with your fixed and variable for an account manager is $100,000. Well, you want them to manage at least $1 million, right? That keeps you out of trouble, right? That helps you determine when you need to hire. The same for link building. You can set a percentage and, hey, I'm not going to exceed this percentage, right? It doesn't have to be a certain amount of links because, and then this is certainly true if you're outsourcing or using a subcontractor, like this is what goes into it. And when you set all these rules, it changes the game. Then when you get discounts, you pass through that revenue back to yourself through economies of scale, different efficiencies and things that are repeated. That's how you get additional margin. But it also helps you forecast like when you need to hire, when you need to make different decisions on how you're going to serve a client. That's a little bit on the pass through.
Next question was from Ahmed. He said, aren't the lawyers in competition to each other? Can you elaborate on how content is produced when multiple clients may need the same content? Also, can you explain how you handle the geographics, i.e. do you take clients? I think we covered that. Just you do exclusivity. So basically,
no. Let me jump in here. I got a fun one here.
Yeah.
1 is a client, 2 is a competitor, 3 is a niche. I'm kidding, but I'm not really. Here's the deal. All your clients want exclusivity, right? They're all afraid. It's all fear. They're afraid of someone else taking their revenue, but we know how local maps are. Even a proximity, an office that's a mile away may rank differently. When you're on vacation and you go to St. Louis, you type best restaurants near me and you're downtown, you're probably not going to see Soulard. You're probably not going to see Central West End. You're going to see downtown restaurants. The same for legal, these brick and mortars. But I want to coach. Okay, so geographic exclusivity, if you're a smaller agency, yes, you can use it because it does create urgency. It's urgency and scarcity. It does create urgency. Very powerful from an outbound perspective. The issue is when it comes to changing that from an opportunity cost perspective, because at the beginning, you're not charging these big rates. You're charging $2,000 a month, $5,000 a month. And now you got the whole territory locked up for $2,000 to $5,000 a month. And now you're passing it for referral 10%. Just doesn't make sense. So what we like to say, and the coaching this up to everyone here, because I would love to just get this going viral. We don't restrict our clients' ability to grow. Let me repeat that. We don't restrict our clients' ability to grow. So if you're a Philly firm and you want to open an office in Chicago, by all means, let's rock and roll. And if you start giving exclusivity to all these territories, what happens is then you can't help them in these other markets. So what are they going to do? They're going to go hire another agency. You're out of luck. So that's the number one reply. By the way, if you do this on ChatGPT, that was how I found it. And it was like a laser bolt to the head. I'm like, how did I not know this? And that's what it'll say.
Interesting.